Hi, this is Joe from Nerd in Korea. We are continuing our counterspell, budget counterspells with added effects. So we're talking about some spells that have added effects. Unfortunately, they are mana-wise a little more costly, but we're going to get into it here. So what can a counterspell do? A counterspell may not counter all of the effects triggered effects attached to a spell. So the example I used before was Cascade. Cascade is a cast trigger, right? So if you counter the spell doesn't come in, but they still cascade, right? It doesn't. Cascade is an ability, not a spell. So that's counter spells, not abilities. So that's one important thing to remember. Having things that counter abilities is very useful, and I've mentioned some of those before in previous videos, especially the 1 mana counterspell video. I think had 2 of them, so yeah, it's worth checking out. So in added effect, so counterspells usually require more mana. These counterspells require more mana to cost, but also offer another effect. So this is kind of like having part of another spell attached to this spell. This is why it's actually, I think, worthwhile. Like, you're paying more mana, but you're getting more bang for your buck as well. These spells will be useful in more particular decks and situations. Yeah, so that's definitely true. Some decks are going to really appreciate these spells, and other decks it's still an added effect as something, but it won't make that big a difference. If the deck is made for that purpose, it's going to be very, very useful. So first up is Bone to Ash. Counters only creature spells. So first of all, it only counters creature spells. You may also draw a card. Alright, so it lets you draw a card as well. That's very nice. But a very steep mana cost. Okay, it's 2 and 2 blue. 2 colors, 2 blue. So if you don't have some kind of mana reduction, it's probably not worth having. If you do have something like Arcane Melee, this is perfect, right? Get to counterspell and draw a card. That's if you can only do that for 2. If you can do that for 2, it's wonderful. Anyway, that is 1 cent. Sinister Sabotage. Okay, counters any spell, so not just creature spells, any spell, and you surveil 1. You can look at the top card of your library, and if you want, you can put it into your graveyard. This is nice, just sorting. For your next turn, you get to know what the next card is going to be and decide, like, do I want that or should I just get rid of it? And hopefully it gives you a better chance at actually getting what you need at the time. So yeah, that is quite useful. 4 cents. And Spell Burst. Okay, this is one where I'm kind of on the fence about, but counters any spell, so that's good. You must match the casting cost with X mana. So again, if what they're costing casts 3 mana, you have to pay 3 and a blue. Okay? What is nice about this is it has buyback. That means when you cast it, you can just put it back into your hand rather than it going to your graveyard, so you can cast it over and over and over. So I would consider this definitely, but you need a lot of mana to get the buyback out of it. You don't have to use the buyback though. You can still counter the spell. I think if you were countering, like mana rocks and things like that have a low casting cost, you can keep knocking them out of the game, and then yeah, just keep putting it back into your hand. I think that's at least possible, but even that would cost like 6 or 7 mana. So again, it's steep. It is very steep. But you don't have to use the buyback if you don't want to. So it's kind of whatever suits you in the time. It does give you options. Again, options are just great to have. Anyway, that is 15 cents. Didn't say please. So first of all, I love the art on this one. I think it's the best art. Counter target spell. Its controller puts the top 3 cards of their library into their graveyard. Okay. So, this is really like a mill strategy. That if you have a deck that's a mill strategy, you want this card. Otherwise, don't, right? This is very limited usefulness if you're trying to mill out your opponents. then it's good. If you're even trying to self-mill, it doesn't work. If you're trying to do anything, it really is not worth it. 21 cents, but it's great if you are doing mill. Bane's Contingency. All right, Bane, as in, I think that's the D&D god, Bane, but anyway. Counter target spell. Again, it counters any spell. If that spell targets your commander instead, or a commander you control instead, counter that spell, scry 2, then draw a card. Oh, wow. Okay, that's 3 mana. And if they are target, again, I would only use this in commander. And if they're targeting your commander, you counter the spell, and it's almost like it's a second spell on top of that. That lets you sort through your deck and draw a card. That's insane. That's so good. I think anyone with a commander deck and blue should have this card in it, just like every single time. It's a double spell, really is what it is. Again, you can use it to counter anything, but you get this added bonus if it's something targeting your commander. And in commander, you get your target, or the main target is your commander, right? So it won't help with board wipes. Oh, well, it can help with board wipes, but you don't get the added benefit. So again, you could use it to counter something that just wipes the board, like a sorcery, but you won't get the added benefit. Anyway, 42 cents, so that's pretty good. And the list. Alright, so Bone to Ash, 1 cent. Sinister Sabotage, 4 cents. Spellburst, 15 cents. Didn't Say Please, 21 cents. And finally, Bane's Contingency, 42 cents. Really, if you even play Commander, you should have like a couple of these cards kicking around. Because even if you don't have a blue deck right now, if you ever get a deck that even has blue as color, I would rather have this than Counterspell and Commander, frankly. That's just nuts. 42 cents. Oh boy. Anyway, alright, thank you very much, and please like and subscribe. Alright, take it easy.